Welcome to Game Warp, the show taking us back in time to the games of my childhood, to compare how these games, the franchises they build, and my own opinions of them have changed over the years. So, over the years I have collected an awful lot of PS2 games, mainly in my childhood when I had the PS2, but yeah, I have an awful lot. And for this show, every episode I'm going to do a different game, and it's just going to be completely random. So the first game is Psyops, the Mindgate Conspiracy. So before we start playing the game, we need to get my opinions out and what I can remember about the game. So to help us start off, we're going to do a little bit of research about Psyops. This brings us to the research segment, where I've had a little idea where I do a little bit of research on each game, to try and re-jog my memory. Psyops, the Mindgate Conspiracy. Hello. And then we'll just let the computer fix the rest. Fuck. Oh, yes! Psyops, the Mitigated Conspiracy. Psyops, the Mindgate Conspiracy is an action-adventure game developed by Midway Games. That rings a bell. We'll look into that later. Oh, here we go, here's the story. In the game, the player is Nick Scryer, a Psy operative whose mind has been wiped to allow him to infiltrate a terrorist organization. However, he is captured and must fight his way out with the help of Sarah, a double agent, as he progresses. This sounds... Wait. Nick also faces off against a plethora of former Psy operatives, all of whom have defected with the general that formerly led the Psyops project. Each specialised in a certain field of psychic ability. The first boss, for example... Hold on. This is all ringing a bell slightly. Here's the actual powers here. Let's just look into these. So telekinesis, I remember that. Remote viewing... literally doesn't even click anything. God damn it, how long have I... I generally can't even tell you how long it has been since I've even put this game in. Mind control, yeah, it's pretty par for the course when it comes to mind powers. Oh, look, the game is also being developed for the Nintendo GameCube, titled Espionage. I don't know if this is the worst name or the fucking best name ever for a game. In the game's final cutscene, Nick crashes in one of the helicopters with telekinesis, the screen fades to black, and the words "to be continued" appear. Now that I remember. I have another fun note in here. If I open up the box here, I have a printout, a printout from a website. This is some classic days. A printout of the cheat codes for this game on the website. Now, for my younger viewers, you won't know what the fuck a cheat code is, but you pay for those now. To summarise, I remember really liking the game. Evidently, the story didn't have much of an impact on me, because I don't remember a fucking thing about it. The only thing I remember about the story is it being to be continued at the end, and never getting continued. Without further ado, there's only one more thing left to be done here when it comes to Psyops, and that is play the goddamn game and see how it feels now. So since this is the first episode, I don't really have much of a plan on how I'm going to do this, so I figured the easiest way to break down this game and how I feel about it would be to split this into three sections. The visuals and sound, I'll put them in together. The story and the gameplay. Gameplay is probably the thing I've got the most to say about, so I'm probably going to start off with, let's say, the visuals. Now, for whatever I'm going to talk about today, there's going to be a theme that I've noticed with this game. Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit. So, first off, we're going to talk about the visuals. Now, in terms of visuals, the one thing I find very frustrating and annoying, especially when you look at the box art for this game, you would think, a lot of blue, a lot of colour, a lot of light, cool. Well, the general art palette and the colour palette for this game is a lot of greys, browns, and dark colours, like very... like black, just a lot of black, like darkness, pure darkness everywhere. The one big problem this game has is it's fucking atrocious lighting. I'm gonna slowly die trying to figure out the way to go. It's really annoying me. Does not help that it's dark as well. I turned up every setting I could find. I turned up the TV's I turned up everything I could think of. The UI was blinding me, it was so bright. I'm going to edit this video, and I'm going to try and... any clips I show of the game that are really dark, I'm going to try and brighten them up the best I can, but this darkness is unpenetrable. It's actually quite terrifying how deep the darkness in this game goes. But of course, when you can see areas and you are actually in somewhere with light, everything's very samey. Nothing too interesting. Some of the layout's interesting here and there, but overall the level design, it's kind of meh. Now, the one thing I will give credit is the effects. For its time, PS2 time, for what I know, the explosion effects are really cool, the fire looks fine, and the powers all are like really colourful. That's one colour comes in as your powers, but everything visually looks great. And actually, I think this is probably one of the earliest examples I've seen of a really decent physics engine, because obviously since you're using psychic powers, you have telekinesis, there's like a really decent physics engine running underneath, which is really fun and does the game a lot of favours. Now, the animations are more or less pretty good. There's some points where actually some of the facial animation and some of the cutscenes are actually really well done. And then there's other weird moments where like things just look absolutely monstrous. But overall, there is a few elements here and there visually the game does that's quite good, but I wouldn't say for certain that the visual aspects and the art direction of this game isn't great. Like, a lot of it's quite generic. Whatever's there that isn't horrible is just fine, and that's about as far as it goes. The audio and sound in this game are much and such the same. Now, I really want to jump onto this first, but the voice acting somewhat saves this game in a lot of aspects. Like, when the voice acting is good, it's really quite good, it's fine. Like, I have no problems with the voice acting.
Your own good, Nick.
The hell it is. Who are you?
Sarah Blake. I'm working inside the movement as a double agent.
But when the voice acting in this is really bad and like really hammy, it's great.
Nick Scryer.
Oh my god, that voice.
Killed you when I first saw you. Did I ever trade return? Nick Scryer.
Now, the game's soundtrack the whole story with the soundtrack kind of confuses me. As far as I'm aware, this game had like a nu metal kind of song tied to it somehow, but it's never used in the game. Like, I never came across this tune at all when I was playing the game. It only just seems to be for a trailer. The music that is in the game is actually fine, although I didn't really think much of the soundtrack until after I played the game and I looked up the music separately on YouTube, because I think the music is leveled so low by default that you can't really pick up the music or hear it, apart from one point in the game. Oh no, I need to find my way out here. This is gonna go well. Oh Jesus! Oh, this music's making this way more intense. Okay, I'm gonna give... Okay, this isn't like the best fucking game music in the world, but it's actually not bad. It is conveying the right things. The sound effects in particular are quite poor overall. It doesn't sound like they have an awful lot of them. Like, a lot of the explosion effects, it seems like there's only one or two, possibly just one explosion sound effect. Bonk. Hope it pans out for us. Sometimes there's moments where the audio is implemented horrendously and it just sounds terrible. So overall, the sound as well, similar to the visuals, like, don't come into this game for anything art direction, visual, or sound-wise. This is not its game's forte. The gameplay is the main one I'm saving for the end, but the story is what I'm going to talk about next. This story tried to do a lot of things, was in some moments very derivative, and then all of a sudden, just really weird.
Sure, no.
What is happening?
Wrightson. Ready to play?
Sarah!
I'm going to give you a quick story summary. My version of the story summary. I could Google this and read out the plot, but nah. This is what I picked up after playing the game. So you, in the game, are a mind-wiped Psy soldier called Nick Scryer. And obviously, as you progress through the game, you're unlocking your memories and your powers as you go through. And you're escaping the Mindgate organization, or you're also trying to stop them, who are a bunch of evil dudes who want to get a MacGuffin artifact thing to rule the Earth with psi power, I guess. And there's a lot of really weird shit in the middle about all the the world wars being about this MacGuffin artifact thing,
Incredible. I'm sending the data now.
Based on this archive, the two world wars were fought over the ownership of the monolith fragments because of their link to psi abilities.
Now, the main things that happen throughout the game is that you encounter members of the Cobra, the Psi squad from Mindgate. I don't know if they're your old squad, or it was either not explained or I wasn't listening. I'll admit it could be my fault. But there's a psionic soldier squad, elites, and you fight them throughout the game. They end up being your bosses. So first off, we have Leonov, who is quite a good opening generic evil dude.
Good little puppets.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but this guy's super fucking evil. Oh. That seems unpleasant. Was that on purpose? Then you have Kingpin. I can't remember his name.
What are we going to do with you, Barrett? You're supposed to be dead.
How does it feel to be the General's lapdog?
We did the bidding of Mindgate for years.
Then you have this Wei Lu character who just kind of comes out of nowhere, but then most of these bosses do, but she's like a master of illusions. Whoa, what the fuck? Then there's this fire lady who I don't know if she had a name. She kind of came out of nowhere. At this point, when I seen her, I was like, okay, I think we need to have a boss for each of the powers I had, because throwing fire was one of them. Oh, she is not a happy lady. Oh, her rage is fueling her backflips. Okay. Then we have what I call either Mark Hamill's impression of the Joker or the cultist voice acting from Dawn of War 1, which is very specific, but I think it kind of nails it.
What are you doing? I'm your god. I brought you here from the ether.
Then there's the final boss, the General, who is... his voice acting, and actually some of his animations and some of his moments are just fantastic. He looks like he really likes his job.
Feel the power.
Yeah, you can see the power as well. You've fucking coked out your mind. So all these bad guys, all these bosses that you face throughout the game, you have to stop them from doing something bad to the world with their psi powers and the artifact with the help of a friend called Sarah. Her entire role and existence in this game is to throw exposition at you. Oh, there she is. Hello, I would like some exposition, please. I heard this is the finest place for exposition. Oh, there's some in there right now. She seems to be picking up a fine piece of exposition. What may it be? And she also has an evil twin sister, because this game is really weird at times.
I think you should leave Luna 1 with me, Nick. I mean, what if he captures you? He's more powerful than you can imagine.
I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I don't think that was actually her. Yeah, I might be wrong. She might have just all of a sudden got horrendously horny. The main problem I had with this story, and personally keeping an attention span with this story, like, it wanted me to take the game very seriously. And then it would follow up with some of the weirdest shit ever. This is nuts, what the fuck? I found it really hard to latch onto the story, plus a lot of this stuff, it just kind of breezes past. Occasionally, the game shines and brings up some really interesting plot points, like the fact that all the soldiers you're fighting are all like people being mind controlled, enslaved.
Sarah, I found Sanders and he attacked me like some kind of zombie.
They're meat puppets, reprogrammed with an implant to fight for the movement.
There's another dimension that you can tap into with your psi powers. That's really cool.
I can see the other side. It's beautiful.
Nick Scryer is remembering all these things from his past, like all his powers and stuff, but then you kind of get hinted at that he's got a dark past. And then you fight his dark past in a little fun game mode, admittedly, but then it just kind of is resolved, and there's never any flashbacks to his past. You never actually know what he's done You just know he's done bad stuff, but they never confront that or approach it at all. The main crime this game is guilty of is trying its hardest to get me invested in this very, very lost and confused story. It then finishes on a cliffhanger and then says to be continued. Oh man. Yep, I remember that. So overall the story, it really does have its moments where, especially with the voice acting and like some of the characters and the weird stuff that happens, really redeem the game. But then it's brought down by these moments where it tries to throw exposition at you and then totally blasts past anything interesting they try to approach with the story. But some of the fun stuff that's in there is worth seeing. But overall, as I've said before, the theme of this game, some good, some bad. So that then brings us to the main part of the game that I would really want to talk about, is the gameplay. Now, PsyOps is a third-person action shooter, so from that words most of you can understand, you are in third person, you shoot the dudes, and then you also have the psi powers, but we'll get to them later. Oh, are you dead? Oh, you're alive, and you're coming at me with guns. Oh my god, body slam! Holy shit, that was cool! Now, first off, the shooting. The shooting in this game is fine, although it uses this very strange auto-aim crosshair with a little dot in the middle that moves towards what you're shooting at. But also, this crosshair comes into play later on because it does hamper some of the psi powers, and it's sometimes particularly hard to know what that little dot in the middle is going to grab onto. Some of the default settings, like the sensitivity, was way too far down, so if you're going to play this, tweak some of the settings. Oh, and in particular, turn off Luke Spring. I don't know whose idea Luke Spring was, but... Right, aim up. Aim up! Oh god, it's got a thing where it like re-centers. Ugh. Trying to aim up at someone is a nightmare. Luke Spring. I think that's it. I think that's what I'm looking for. A Luke Spring. That sounds like a horrible invention. Although I will give credit to one particular button, the square button. The button that you mash to do melee. And the melee in this game, like, it's so goddamn funny. I feel like I've not done third-person shooting in a while. Hey, I've got punching, don't I? A manner of speaking, I suppose. Look at this. This is a move set of a champion. Fucking. Oh, look at this. Yeah. And actually, now that I think about it, not very effective. Ow, ow, I'm punching a wall. Ah, where is he? I must beat you. Oh, no. This is so clunky and annoying. Ah, ow. Okay, booted me in the face. And also, the movement can be quite clunky and awkward. Like, trying to jump over stuff can be quite difficult, especially when you've thrown boxes everywhere. And now we're going to get into the meat of this pie. The psi powers. It's a game where you play a psionic trooper. You want to talk about psi powers. This is the deal here. Well, you're gonna die on your first day. Sorry, you picked a bad company you work for. Whee! Right, so one of the powers you get is TK, or telekinesis. This is the game's bread and butter. It is picking things up, people, objects, red barrels, everything, throwing it around. And it's super fun. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, it is hampered by that auto-aim crosshair. A lot of the time, you're kind of aiming your big crosshair in the middle and then hoping the little dot locks onto the object you want. But sometimes it doesn't grab the right item. And then if you combine that with something else I noticed, where when you're throwing things from telekinesis, there's a sort of homing, like it'll pick certain objects to be thrown into, like person or an explosive. It'll pick those roughly in the direction you're pushing the analog stick when you throw it, and it's very unpredictable. The combination of the auto-aim and the sort of homing object thing means that when you're in a fight and in a panic, and you want to throw a barrel at some guy coming at you, before that you're going to throw at least 3 different things you didn't want to throw at least 3 different directions that you also didn't want him to go, before you actually hit the guy. Oh no! Oh no, I'm just throwing chairs randomly and for no reason. Just fucking get him. Oh my god. Oh! The next power is remote viewing, which is actually a really interesting ability which ties into the game's horrendous agenda of trying to make me want to be stealthy, which is really hard, the stealth in this game, because of all the jank and the controls. Goes somewhere?
So much for following directions.
What? What? I shot him in the face! What do you want from me? Well, technically I shot him in the back of the head, but his face is on the other end, so I probably got that as well. Don't fucking at me right now. But also, it's kinda hard to make me do stealth when I have the ability to fucking pick up red barrels and throw them into people. Bonk. I like how just throwing a man into a red barrel makes him explode. That's how fucking potent red barrels were in this generation of games. In this generation of games, every red barrel just spontaneously combusted at a fucking gust of wind. Then we have Mind Drain, which is basically like a utility power, and it allows you to replenish your psi power, because all psi abilities you use drain that little bar at the top, and you can use Mind Drain to get it back. It comes with a little cool animation, and it also comes with the ability to use it in stealth to get more psi power. Then we have Mind Control. Mind Control is really a really interesting welcome addition, and not too much of a surprise when it comes to psionic abilities. And it can be surprisingly fun in certain situations. Sir, no. How about you turn that off? Thank you. That was very polite of you. I'm glad that you did that of your own free will. Can you give me these? No. But I know that they're there, and that is good. No, you should like head to the next room, see this guy, start beating the shit out of him, win somehow. This guy's a boss. Oh my god. No one suspects the mechanic. Oh my god. However, the downside with this is that the only time this power is useful is if you have the drop on someone or they can't get to your character, because obviously they can still attack your character while you're mind controlling. And then the game has certain parts that are scripted or like puzzles you have to solve using mind control, but this itself doesn't take away from the fact that it is a fun and interesting power. I apologise. Oh hey, quick, jump with the grenade and save your friends. Holy shit! That guy got some sick air. So pyrokinesis, this power is very effective at killing guys, like very effective, although I don't know, if I was told to think of psionic powers, I don't know why conjuring fire would come to mind. I mean, I don't want to be harsh, but at this point when they thought of pyrokinesis, they must have really been stretching for ideas, because it's not really what comes to mind. But as a gameplay power, basically this is your like, oh god, I'm panicking, this guy needs to die, throw some fire. It's very quick and very easy to dispatch enemies with. And I noticed in the training that it also has a sort of Far Cry system where fire spreads from object to object. This concept is never really used much throughout the game. Then finally we have Aura View, which is honestly quite dull. It's just a view mode that you switch to that will reveal hidden things and puzzles and dimensional monsters that I mentioned in the story that are very interesting, but they're kind of annoying as fuck after a while. Now, as much as all these powers are really cool and quite interesting, they all suffer from one main thing, and it is the controls. The janky controls, and in some cases the horrible execution. Because there's a combination of problems here with the psi powers and the gameplay. The enemy AI seems to be programmed to just bum rush you. The minute they know shit is up, they're running at you, guns a-blazing. This, a lot of the time, just results in you panic throwing anything nearby, and as I've said before, the telekinesis controls are awkward, so you're going to be throwing all sorts of shit everywhere, eventually probably just resulting in throwing them, setting them on fire, panicking. It's funny, it can be quite funny, but it overall doesn't give you a lot of control, and there's a lot of powers, as I've said, are wasted. And actually there was multiple moments throughout the game where it introduced a puzzle, and I couldn't figure it out because I forgot I had all these other powers because I hadn't used them in hours. Oh, I'm a fucking doofus. I have mind powers that are handy for this particular situation. I just can't remember there we go. Okay, he has a code. Let's presume it's on his desk somewhere. Yep, he's just left it in. Yep, he's left it. You know, sometimes before I leave my office, or, you know, when I'm at home, before I go anywhere, I'll just go onto my, like, digital banking, and fuck it, not even that. I'll just create a document file with my PIN number to my bank account, or some important door in my house if I had password control doors. I'll just put it on full screen, put it in big red font, and just tell you what it is. Even give the username as well. You know, sometimes I just like to leave those things on screens, you know. Now, telekinesis, all that kind of things were fun. What is not fun is being lost. And this game has an uncanny ability to make me feel lost and not know what the fuck I'm doing. I ran this way, but I don't know where I'm going. So this isn't good. I think I fucked it. I don't know where I'm going. Oh no. Wait, is it this? I think it's this. Oh yeah, no, it's not. I don't know where I'm going. Everything's really dark. The music's very intense, and I'm very confused. What's going on? Do I go down? Let's go down. I died. Through a combination of terrible lighting and areas that don't look very distinct from one another, means that you're going to be relying on the game's directions, which are not very clear, and then the game's map, which I do not like. Objectives. What does it say? Go back through the shipping docks and assembly hall to access the train yard from the landing pad. What? Okay. The moment I started Googling stuff and Googling puzzles was the moment for me I felt like the game had failed me. Okay, this is genuinely a puzzle. So I'm gonna go look it up because I have no idea where to go. So this thing that I have walked up to at least 4 or 5 times, I need to stand in the right place, and there we go, a lever. Very fucking clear. Thank you, game. Oh, and there's one thing I do want to talk about, and it is the video game bosses, because video games have bosses. And you get some of them, some of these bosses are quite cool. Oh god, he's right next to me! Ah! No, everything but... Ah! I threw everything but the man I wanted to throw. Oh no, there's one right next to me, I should probably heal. Ah! This isn't going well. Yeah, do you like that shit? Do you like that shit? And that shit. Uh-oh. I don't like that shit. Oops. I just got clotheslined. Some of these bosses are really, really frustrating. One monster every now and then is fine, but literally 2, 3 monsters all at once is way too much. What do I do? And some of these bosses are so weird that I just love them. Look. Oh my goodness, this is like Dark Souls. What is going on? This is kind of cool though. The final boss is horribly designed. I really do not like the way this boss is done. This is such a strange and, let's be frank, horribly fucking designed boss fight. It's really bad. It's just... Hey, you know those fun side powers you've been playing with in the game and all these creative ideas? Let's not use those. There's one small thing I believe I said when I was playing this game and recording it that I think summarizes a lot of this game. Dun dun dun. This is really cool. Randomly this game goes from just like annoying and frustrating to like really cool within like 20 minutes. It's so strange. So overall, if I had to describe playing Psyops, it's kind of a very split experience. For everything I found really fun, I would also find something I really hated. Like, some of the psi powers are a lot of good fun and really interesting ideas, but then trying to find your way around sometimes, and in the dark, the lighting is just, I really don't like the lighting. But nonetheless, I did really enjoy the game, despite some of the moments I had with it. Yep. And I don't think there's going to be a checkpoint, is there? There's not going to be a checkpoint. There's not going to be a checkpoint, is there? I think this might be when I stop playing it. This game is just a treasure trove of cool ideas. I think the main pull for this game was the physics engine. For its time, physics engines, there wasn't a lot of them. These days, every game has a silly physics engine, and it's not that interesting. So I think this game had the physics engine going for it, and even now, I think it still works really well. It's a really good physics engine, and in tandem with the powers, it can be a lot of fun, and you can get yourself into some really fun stuff with this game. And also, being an older game, it does offer a lot of cool extras, some cool new modes, and some cheats that you can unlock. So, where is Psyops now? Now, as I explained already, the game does end on a cliffhanger, but unfortunately, to this day, there has not been any more additions to the series, which is a shame. Overall, the game has great reviews. Most people seem to look back fondly upon Psyops, and I would probably agree. I think at the time when I played it originally, I did quite like it, but most of the problems I had playing with it now, I think are mostly due to it not aging very well. Like, a lot of the conveniences that you see in modern games aren't in this one, which made it a lot more frustrating to go back to. But what about the developer, Midway Games? Well, they developed and licensed quite a lot of games. Mainly from what I've seen, it seems like they were heavily involved with a lot of Mortal Kombat titles. And a lot of these titles they did in conjunction with Warner Bros. Entertainment. But to cut a long story short, Midway Games went bankrupt and a lot of it got shut down, but what's left of Midway Games has now mostly been absorbed by Warner Bros. To this day there hasn't been a Psyops, and to be honest I didn't really read into it too heavily, but I don't know what's happened with the Psyops license. Possibly it's under Warner Bros. Or just up in the air, I don't know. As Psyops is a game with so much potential. But then maybe Psyops wouldn't work. The main appeal of Psyops was its really good physics engine, throwing stuff around, it was really fun. And like I said earlier, these days, physics engines are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere, and there's lots of silly physics games, so would it still do the same? Is that the only appeal, or maybe just the idea of a psychic super game is still something that would work? And if any of you guys out there have also played Psyops, let me know what you think. You know what? Let's just do this for the shits and giggles. So, next episode, we shall see what we're gonna do. So, I'm gonna go choose the game that we're gonna play for the next episode in the most professional way I can think of, which is I'm just gonna, my cupboard where all the games are is just over there. I'm just gonna climb in and I'm gonna go have a look. So, let's see what the next game is. I'm gonna presume you can hear me, possibly. You might just hear my computer. So, I'm just gonna climb in here. Trying to knock stuff over. Okay, oh shit, okay, well, right. Ooh. Oh, now that was the original episode. I'd kind of like to do that one. Maybe. Ooh. Oh. Oh, yes. You know what? Let's pick multiple, and we'll get you guys to vote. So, I'm going to pick a couple. I think I have a couple of choices. So, right. We're going to go with either Champions of Norath, Area 51, or, third choice, the Herb Sims in the City, which apparently is also enhanced with iToy camera. I actually do have an iToy